Please call the roll.
Mayor Randy Burke,
Here.
Commissioner Darren Indovina,
Here.
Commissioner Ken Gaspar.
Here.
All right, everyone, please rise as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, have you all, commissioners all had a chance to look at the agenda?
Yes.
Any motions?
Can I add 2 items to the agenda?
Yeah, go ahead.
We want to add road improvement funding to point E, so tap sidewalk project and road improvement funding.
Okay.
And then we want to move E up before A so that Kevin can present and he's got a conflict.
You have personal problems?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we adjust the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay. Call the roll.
Mayor Randy Burke.
Yes.
Commissioner Ken Gaspar.
Yes, aye, sorry.
Commissioner Darren Indovina.
Aye.
Okay, let's move on to regular business. Kevin?
These are the latest maps showing the road improvement projects on the connector road and 17th Street. And we're still in the process of being tweaked, but I don't have any comments other than just your viewing of what we're looking at. The section will look like through there. We're in the process of setting right-of-way for the property owners along the project, and the plan and traffic study has been submitted to MoDOT for review and comments, and we're awaiting for their response. So you can see kind of the layout. The first sheet is just from 37 to H Highway, and we've adjusted the road coming into the north part on ball field 5, so it's got a little longer leg, so it comes off. There's a hill right there, so we have to drop down into the hill and come around, which will allow for some parking. But this may be adjusted too, because there was some consideration for a ball field, whether it was a soccer or a baseball diamond at that location, so we got to make sure it fits into that area west of IMAC. So any questions, concerns,
Yeah,
comments?
where's the next ballpark? Show that
5's right here.
Okay.
The future one would be
here on the other
Larry's looking
side.
at right in this area. We've got to allow room for IMAX building because their slope comes down.
I got
This
you.
is on a field.
Okay, I understand.
So we're trying to get that acreage to work out the best that fits both parties.
Okay, and so the comments when we went through the last time have been integrated into this design?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's still some tweaking to do, making sure we don't want to move any more poles than we have to. It avoids our water line or sewer line. There is some over by the Clark Center side there at 1075 that before we had just to cut it off and we was tying into what's there. It didn't fit very good. It didn't look very good, so this has been extended up to where it's shown now, which does affect the cost. So we're looking at the cost estimates to see how much we can refine that and, stay within close to the budgets that we had before. So,
Okay.
and that we've got a cost estimate, which I'll show you here in a second. They have increased based on, because the first estimates was based on the conceptual without any design. So now we're into the design phase, which have more refined cost estimates. And at this point now we're not starting to tweak things, stuff that Dave can do, city can do, stuff that we can buy outside the scope. We're also looking at piggybacking off of Blevins like we did in the budget purposes, which they bid their projects to MoDOT for asphalt, but their unit prices for asphalt this year was $73 a ton, which is about $10 to $15 less than normal, what we've seen. So since they have a MoDOT contract, we can actually piggyback, the city can piggyback off to those numbers which greatly helps improve our numbers that we have in the estimate. So
Good.
we're working with Scott Crabtree at Blevins to get those.
Is that a long-term deal?
No, year by year usually, because they're overlaying, which they'll start in August at Oklahoma State line on Highway 60 and then run to Monett this fall. And so,
So does any of this design relocate any of that creek that's there, or does it run alongside it?
it runs alongside of it.
So you're talking about a couple of boxes to
The-
cross over it?
That one right there is the biggest box,
That one,
the most
yeah.
expensive box,
Yeah.
which it's a little bit bigger than what Dave's tackled on Cale Street, but they're up for it, I think.
Wow, it's a big box.
Bigger, wider, longer, all of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Length is, what do we have, 300 foot, 267? So it's shorter. It's shorter, about half the length of that one, but
Okay.
this is a 10 by 5 and his is an 8 by 4. So,
And then the same thing over at the entrance?
yeah, that little short road into the parking lot is gonna be kind of expensive with the box culvert there, so. And any of this could be, I guess, that little south piece into the park, it could be a phase deal too. The one I think goes into field number 5, I think is critical to stay in the project, so we're looking at how we can trim those
So
costs
when you were
down.
saying field 5, I'm sorry, which one? Okay, 6. That's
Oh,
field
that's
6.
6,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
Isn't that the American Legion field? Or what?
Yes, that's the high school baseball field.
Okay,
Yep,
6.
that's the one that has the turf infield.
Yes, so trying to get that to fit in there where they can use it. It's made 24-foot wide, so it's 2 lanes of traffic in and out, so it's
Yeah.
not a single lane.
That's awesome.
But it does come off that hill and drop down. We have in that northeast corner, there's a booster station for our water treatment plant, or a water system from the
Right.
low system to the high. We have a pressure sewer in there, an electric line, and a water line too, so we've got to dodge all that stuff.
I'm glad to see it a little further to the north. It's not very frequently that there are home run balls hit there, but I had already started talking with the athletic director with the potential of having to increase the height of the fence or have some kind of maybe a natural screening, some trees or something like that that would prevent a ball from entering the roadway. So,
We'll just lay out, now we're at the point of laying out this ball field, that potentially a ball field,
Yeah.
and looking at how much acreage that's potentially to be purchased from the Connors, because they're interested in going forward. You know, where we at, how much you want, and how many acres, and we've got.
I understand, that's the next,
Rick Meeks is lined up to do the
it
appraisal.
would
once we
not be a
know acreage.
large field. It wouldn't be like field 6.
Right, right. It doesn't fit. Larry gave me some sizes,
Okay.
what he was thinking, so.
Yeah, okay.
is there a need for another ball field? We can't make a big one, is there a need?
I mean,
And
I'd say
you may not have the
anecdotally.
answer.
No, I'd say anecdotally, yes. You know, but I can't tell you which size. I mean, the softball fields are used the most. The baseball fields,
Okay,
I'd say that there's only one true baseball field, and that'd be field 6.
oh, for high school, that meets all the length and the requirements, that's the only one?
Well, it's the mound. Right,
The
so there-
mound,
Yeah,
okay.
there's a mound on it, and the base paths are 90-foot base paths on field 6. There are no sleeves or pegs for a 45 or 60-foot base on field 6. So it is only baseball. All the other fields are convertible.
Okay, so, but we have an option for a smaller ball field for, I think,
Yeah,
a softball.
I would put it at a softball field or a smaller baseball field like field 5.
Yeah, we're not agreeing to that now, we're just,
No.
it is an option that we
Yeah.
can use in the future.
Yeah, and then the issue with having the road there, in my opinion, it kind of separates that one field. It makes it a little more inaccessible by foot. So,
Okay, well, we don't have to solve that now.
No, we don't.
Okay,
And it's not to say that, you know, all we're doing is looking at the space needed to do this, and then the acreage, here's the option, minimal for the street, and then if you want to add on to that.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Got any questions on this, and from the commissioners on this one before we go to the next one?
I mean, my only questions are always gonna be how we pay for that.
Yeah, agreed.
True. 1090 South improvements to county line, is there any kind of, anything?
Well, we'll get to that in just a second. Because I want to reemphasize that at our last working meeting, we decided to put this priority over Central Avenue. And that was because of the traffic problems, because doing Chapel Drive at the same time as Central could cause on the throughways through the city. So that's why we're doing this next. We don't know how much it's gonna cost. We're gonna have to look at that, maybe re-engineer. But as far as Kevin's time and the city's effort, this will be the next thing after Chapel Drive. Okay. All right, if there's no more on this one, let's go to the next one, which is what, 17th Street?
2230.
2230.
H Highway. to
Oh, okay,
17th
yeah, I got you, go ahead.
So originally, back last fall, it started out just a realignment of the intersection to match up the connector road, which basically cut it off in the middle of the page. And then it was added to take it all the way to 17th Street because of the Vaughn's project. And the Monett Special Road District has volunteered to buy the pipe storm sewer for the project. And then Vaughn's has agreed to install the storm sewer from basically this little interconnect road that goes up to that other subdivision that's on the north side. To the east, there'd be storm sewer. So we're looking at, the route looks pretty decent the way we've got it right here. And Vaughn's is in the process of working on their next phasing of their project to compensate for the additional right-of-way that's needed for this project to make the intersection work.
And Kevin, there's a one-lane road, one lane, where it goes down to one lane out there. This will allow
It's 24-foot wide.
that 24-foot wide, so it'll take that out. Okay.
Yeah, and then with the turn lane down at H Highway, which that intersection would be across from the connector road. So there'll be straight across intersections. Like I said, the traffic study has been submitted to MoDOT. The preliminary comments were that they weren't going to require any right turns or left turn lanes onto H or 37. So we want to get a formal approval from them, so we're waiting on their comments. Hopefully they won't want us to have to do any more to H Highway. They've just recently milled and filled it. But this project.
Well, so to compensate for that, we've widened this lane for turn lane.
Left turn, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is the second project, which it kind of grew from just the intersection, 400 feet is what we originally talked about last October, to this full section based on the improvements that's occurred.
Okay. Any questions on this particular item? Okay, let's go on to next project.
Intersection, really hasn't changed from our last meeting, other than more defined the proposed right-of-way. And I'm in the process of getting meetings set up with these 4 property owners. The one at the southwest corner is Randy Faith. He's agreeable to the project as a whole.
Good.
The road district is also, they were going to contribute some monies for this project as well. So we're looking at, haven't really got with Dave to show him what we're talking about, culverts and pipes yet. Because we really need to know whether we can get right-of-way, if we're going to get donated right-of-way or be limited. We went through there is a overhead electric pole issue. The northeast corner is Empire. That's the one that's going to be the hardest to move, but yet we're trying to get a contact with Liberty so we can sit down and show them what we're wanting to do and see how favorable they are. So we got a lot of logistics to do with utilities and right-of-ways before we move much further with where it's at right now.
All right, the radius of this, is it that 50 feet? Okay, so, but to reduce the cost, we can shrink that based on the negotiations with all the parties.
Right away affects everything.
Okay. All right.
It's awesome.
So with that being said, Sandra and I, we've been talking about monies, and that based on the last conversation. So the numbers you're gonna see, I kind of put it together where we started last October with dollars, and then the current estimates, which I hesitated to even show them to you, but I want to show them to you anyway.
Thank you.
Because I don't like where they're at, and, but these do include true total dollars of actually if it was contracted out versus bid out, and not including Dave's work, so, you can kind of see the projects that's been on the books since October. Preliminary costs, preliminary construction estimate, back when October 21st, there's where the number on the projects, in the next column over.
Okay,
is-
so that's the date in the heading?
Yeah,
Okay, year, month, day. Okay.
yeah. So it kind of, you can see where the numbers go back and forth, and when you look at the connector road project, which was at 1169, and that's construction dollars, and then you look at to the right, and you see the 17. I don't like that number at all, but there's a lot of, it's all contracted work, so it doesn't account for the current unit prices that we have with the asphalt from Blevins. And it doesn't account for Dave doing some of the work. So when I looked at what we can do using current unit prices, I'm more down and around the 1.2 range, 1.25.
This pricing, if I'm understanding you correctly, this pricing is if we did none of the work internally?
Correct.
Okay, got it, thank you.
So, and not taking the piggyback bid
Right,
prices.
right.
So there's some tweaking to do on that for sure, but I wanted to show you kind of where it's hit based on the design. You know, here's everything there, but we can't afford that, and I don't like that numbers, but, so Sandra and I was working through numbers to get through to where the shifting of Central Avenue monies and some of the other things that's happened with our budget. MoDOT did the piece of Cleveland from
Yeah.
9th to 13th, which helped a bunch.
Yeah.
So we're still looking at how we can make this work, which I think by next work session, we'll be ready to show you where we're at. And I think we should have the right-of-way set and probably appraisals back by then, so we know how much the right-of-way cost will be. We have one of the property owners that's still gonna donate the right-of-way. So we'll have a better defined number and probably be ready to possibly go out for bids. I could see it in two packets, a dirt work packet and base, and then if we piggyback off of Blevins, it could be an asphalt contract. So September-ish, I think we could easily, if you're ready to do that, go out for bids on this piece. And I think based on budget numbers, that this connector road would be phase 1 and then go to the east, phase 2, and then maybe do the intersection as a 1A or something in there, you know.
I agree. I don't think we can afford to do all at once.
No, I don't. Sandra, she's gonna choke me.
Yeah, so I have two questions, and one of them, Sandra, for you. In your next month's presentation, will it include where the funds will be coming from? Like, are we gonna be using transportation tax funds for this, or is it reserve, or some of both?
It's what we budgeted for the transportation tax funds for this budget.
Okay.
You just realigned it when you moved it up to the first project.
Okay, so you'll include all of that,
we will
okay, in
do.
the analysis?
Yes.
And on the 37 to H connector, none of this includes land acquisition, I'm assuming?
Correct, that's just construction cost. That's why I like to have that number for you, so we know where we're at.
Yeah, but we should have all that by the next work session.
Okay,
Yeah, because we're gonna set, we've already got right-of-way set, I just need to go through it and make sure I'm agreeing with what they've set. And then, I'd like to turn Rick Minks loose next week.
We have had conversations with all three landowners.
for that intersection, right?
For the whole connector.
Or the whole connector
Yeah,
road, so on the north side.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, north and east.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I have to ask, when did Chapel Road, we're going out for bids,
July 17th, open bids at 16th.
16.
16th of July?
I'm getting old.
Yeah,
now.
10 a.m. We open, 10 a.m. we open bids.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, and the estimate that the engineer prepared was good. I mean, it wasn't crazy, but, so, and we won't know until we open bids where the numbers are.
Right.
And we've had interest, you know, MoDOT's doing their $400 million I-44 project. Don't know how that's gonna affect contractors, but Emery Sap and Capital, haven't seen any Capital yet, but Capital's contractor. So I would expect 3 bids on this. Haven't had any questions or anything. We will be adding an addendum that will include street lighting, and then the city would be doing the street lighting in conjunction with the contractor. So we're looking at probably 8 poles, 8 AT45 poles like we did on 37 Bridge and all the other bridges we put the lights on. And we have one other water line that needs to be relocated on the Chapel Drive project, but it can't be done until the field's put in so we can move it. So Tommy that did our work before, he's still have a contract with him, and he's still willing to do this work in conjunction. So everything looks good.
And Amazon is, we look at, what, August, September?
August is the last I heard that they were gonna be operational.
Okay. I get a lot of questions about, are those for electric vehicles, those stands out there?
Some are and some are for their
Most of,
tires.
yeah, for the tires, because the tires on the small truck, they lose air very easily. Because I think we're just using your standard vehicle tires instead of their special tires, which are cheaper. But you gotta fill them up a lot. That's what a lot of those things are out there. Okay. Any more questions on the things we've talked about today? Or with projects?
Feel free to call, or if you have any questions or comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
TAP project?
Tap.
Oh, yeah, let's
Oh,
talk
TAP.
about TAP.
Well, we're gonna move that up. That's right, go ahead.
And
Talk about-
explain TAP, because there's 2 TAP projects.
Okay, the TAP is for sidewalk improvements or ADA projects that's funded through MoDOT. So we applied for 2-3 years ago now. We have around $500,000 in TAP funds. The plans are done, the plans are into MoDOT. What I heard this morning from the consultant, they're waiting for MoDOT to approve they call it the PS&E, the Plan, Specs, and Estimate. In order for, we have to have that approved through MoDOT before we can go out for bids. So that's what we're waiting on before we can go out for bids. The downside is that the estimate they gave me based on the scope of the work, what we want fixed is at $1 million. And I said, we're not gonna do that. We can't do this. We don't have the money to do this. So the consultant knows this. He has had this happen on multiple projects, that they come in, their estimate, you want the estimate to be higher than what it actually comes in at. The engineer does not like to be the low bid. So in all of his projects, they've come in less than their estimates, but they're still over budgets. There's a lot of ADA projects out there, which has created that market to push prices up. And but he knows that we're gonna have to have alternates and cut out stuff. We can't build all that. And there's some things that we've tweaked and taken out that we've worked through the plans to get it. We need to cut that boy back down. because we've only spent $250 a year. in
The
past.
project you're talking about, 600, 1 million, that's for sidewalks in central Monett. It does not include, that's a separate project for Central Avenue, is that correct?
That's correct. The Central Avenue project has its own TAP fund,
Okay,
which regarding the Central Avenue, we still don't have any word back from MoDOT, from Frank Miller on what their share of participation is gonna be, so.
if any.
If any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there, it would be just the surfacing of the highway, of the 37. So that's kind of the short version of both of those projects.
Still the same geographic region on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Downtown?
Yeah, we're doing mainly north-south sidewalks.
Yeah.
You know, but Dave and the crew's done a great job on 4th Street and 5th Street and in all the past projects too. So there's, if we get some of the north-south done, we can come back and do the cross street. Because there's a lot of sidewalks, as you know, if you walk any of that, it's just horrible.
Yeah.
There's a lot of humongous trees that's, them sweet gums. We took out 2 big sweet gums up there, was that 3rd Street, Dave? In front of that old doctor's house. I can't remember his name, but those things were huge. He hated the sweet gums. So he was good with us taking it down. And that sidewalk's just horrible.
Yeah, most of the people.
You know.
No, we don't
So
have
just
any.
real-
Sweet gums are the first tree to break in half with wind. Is that, I mean, that's my observation.
Well, these haven't.
I don't know. Sweet gums are a really hardy tree, but I hate them stinking. If you get, unless you get a different sexed sweet gum tree, then
Yeah.
you don't have them.
All the seeds.
Okay, too much information.
So
just telling
just
you.
real quick, what kind
We're talking about
of
the
revisions
same-
would we be
yeah.
making to sidewalks to bring that cost lower? Are you talking about narrowing them?
No, they're 5 foot. MoDOT requires 5 foot. There's provisions that you can do a 4-foot sidewalk as long as you have a passing lane every
I've seen those in
200
communities.
feet.
Yeah, and they're a
And I
joke.
think they're the dorkiest
Yes.
things in the world. But
Yes.
that's the ADAG regulations. So that is one option that we could, you know, shrink the width back down to 4 feet and do a passing. Because I mean, you got entrances ever so often, so you can use an entrance as a passing lane.
Or the grass.
I mean, so,
Yeah.
We appreciate that option.
I mean, it's just, yeah, but we got all the trees down for that project, for the sidewalk project. So realistically, I think, the sidewalks will probably go out for bids next month and open bids, I'd say in August. September.
Realistically, it may just be less sidewalks than we.
Yeah, they would bid the same thing, we just have to have alternates so you could deduct to stay within budgetary limitations.
So you're talking about fewer linear feet.
Yes, yeah. Cut square yards, yeah. You know,
They have to axe the street or something
Right.
and get back to it later.
or we take out, maybe we just do the sidewalks and take out the entrances and Dave does entrances. I mean, I hate doing stuff like that, but, you know, their unit prices on this stuff is high. I guarantee it's high. I know it's high compared to some stuff. So we just gotta get the right bidder to give us a good, decent unit price.
Yeah.
That's the secret to it. I mean, it really is.
I have comments I'll reserve.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good.
Appreciate it.
That's all.
Thank you, Kevin, I
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it.
Have a good day.
All right.
You too.
Next, we have
Thanks, Kevin.
one vote here and, all right, first and second reading, consideration of approval ordinance 9169. Staff comments?
This is the agreement with Wolpert, the construction management agreement portion of the 80 by 80 city hangar. The scope of work is listed in the document that they sent to us. I don't know if you all read through all that. I'm going to look at the resolution or the ordinance here. I think this is an ordinance. The ordinance kind of spells out that this is construction services. Construction services generally include inspection, making sure quality of materials, Once something is in place, like the steel, making sure it's solid and it's done correctly. And this is the management oversight contract of this. The reason why we're asking for a double reading today, this is a MoDOT aviation project funding, and so they're needing this ordinance as soon as possible, just to be a part of the packet. This has already gone out for bid. Base Construction is doing the work. They're getting ready to do the dirt work this coming Monday. So once the dirt work is started, this project will go fairly quickly. It's a 6 to 8 month project. Therefore, Wolpert again is asking that we get this a double reading and in place so that we can get it back to them. I'll take any questions if you have them.
All right, it's something we have to do because we're building the hangar. It's a requirement by MoDOT. So if we don't do it, the project stops. Is that correct?
It stops,
All right.
yes.
And the time sensitive, we need to get it out if we want, or otherwise we're going to delay the whole process.
That's correct.
I'll move that we have a first reading of bill number 9169.
I'll second it.
Call the roll?
Mayor Randy Burke,
Yes.
Commissioner Ken Gaspar,
Aye.
Commissioner Darren Indovina,
Aye.
Need to read it now.
Please do the reading title only.
an ordinance for the construction management agreement number 1 for the 80 by 80 foot city hangar construction project located at the Monett Regional Airport.
Okay, first reading is complete. Is there any objections from the commissioners going to a second reading on the time-sensitive issue? This is not something we know we normally do.
I'll move that we have a second reading of bill number 9169.
Second.
Call the roll?
Mayor Randy Burke,
Yes.
Commissioner Ken Gaspar,
Aye.
Commissioner Darren Indovina,
Aye.
An
Okay.
ordinance,
Go ahead.
an ordinance for the construction management agreement number 1 for the 80 by 80 foot city hangar construction project located at the Monett Regional Airport.
All right, this one says as a second reading. Are there any public comments about this particular issue? Okay, hearing none. Any motions on ordinance 9169?
I'll move that we approve bill number 9169.
I'll second.
Call the roll?
Mayor Randy Burke,
Yes.
Commissioner Ken Gaspar,
Aye.
Commissioner Darren Indovina.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to discussion on infiltration maintenance contract. Staff.
Yes, so all sanitary sewer systems have issues with I&I, inflow and infiltration. This comes whenever pipes either have a break in them or just wear out, and then you have storm water that gets into the sanitary sewer. And so maintenance, the maintenance portion of that is to go in. We use a lining system, which is very good for the city of Monett. We don't have to open up all the lines. We can go in. We can, basically it's a sock that we place in there. We blow it up and it then blocks the infiltration of the pipe. So what you have before you today, Skip was unable to be here. So Trek is the one that puts all the bid packet together. They're our engineer that we use for sanitary sewer. So what you have in your packet is the bid package that will go out for maintenance, a maintenance contractor to do our I&I rehab. So this is an item that we'll bring to you at the next city council meeting whenever we receive the bids from the contractor.
Well, it's something we have done. What do we have to renew this every year, right? So,
Yeah.
and it works well, so it's just continuation of practice. So I don't have any issues doing first and second reading in next city council unless there's any objections from the commissioners.
Okay.
Would it be an ordinance? I think it's just a
It's an
resolution.
ordinance.
It is.
Yeah, we would do an ordinance because it's a contract, so.
Because the contract will last beyond the tenure of the city council.
I don't have any other comments about that unless you all have questions. And we included the entire bid packet in there, so I'm sure you've read through that.
I have 5 pages left.
Yeah.
The one thing I saw in there is that there's a provision this year, so if other cities want to piggyback onto this, they can.
Yeah,
And Purdy's, because we get the wastewater from Purdy, so that makes sense.
yeah, and it'll help us.
It will help us because it will defray the cost. Are there any other candidates? And this is kind of out of the blue, and I'm asking this question.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
That would benefit the city of Monett. Purdy would benefit us because we do take their sanitary sewer.
Okay.
But no other.
So it takes into account conducive conditions to
Yeah.
expand if we chose to do
Yep.
so.
Yep.
Economies of scale if we can make that happen.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
All right, moving on, discussion of MPUA loan. Staff.
Yeah, so this is a $3.6 million loan that MPUA is the organization that we use. They actually sent out for bids for a loan package. And so I'm going to pull up the loan package that we're recommending that has come from UMPA.
There we go. That's exactly the one I want to look at. All
So
right.
this is what staff is recommending, $3.5 million loan, and the lender would be Central Bank of the Midwest, and we're recommending the one to the far left, the first column, the 4.9% fixed for 5 years, reset every 5 years to 5 Treasury plus 0.75%. The reason why we're recommending this particular loan, we're hoping for an early payout, but if we don't do the early payout, this seems like the best option for us as a city. I think Commissioner Gaspar has reviewed this with Skip, so I know it's staff recommendation. I don't know if you have any comments.
No, same. I like the 15-year term. I like the indexing to the 5-year Treasury plus 75 basis points, so.
So you don't think there's going to, I think what we're banking literally, is that there's not going to be a big variation in interest rates.
I mean, no one ever knows, but yeah, that would be
Yeah,
that would be the
that would be the general
thought.
assumption.
Yeah, and I believe there's going to be some language in the ordinance that gets created because so this 4.97 quote was when the documents were prepared.
Mm-hmm.
The rate that'll actually be realized is when the loan is
Right.
is initiated.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's going to be language in the ordinance that initial rate is not to exceed 5.5% or 5%, something like that.
My understanding is MPUA is putting together that
Correct.
ordinance for us.
Yes,
Mhm.
and then
Okay, so there's a cap on the interest rate.
for the future, yes, because if the quoted rate exceeds that level, then
We can
we'll have to
renegotiate.
go back to the table to say, okay, what are we going to now? Well, let's look at those bids again, and if we need to consider a different institution, then we would.
Couldn't agree with you more.
But then there's also going to be language in there that's going to say that the 10-year term for the rate is not to exceed 10%,
Yes.
because we don't know what's going to happen in 15 years.
So I'm recommending a double reading on that one as well.
Yeah, before the interest rates change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I concur with first and second reading at city council.
Okay.
Maybe Jeffkins.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
All right, next item is discussion of ADA website. Staff,
We're gonna do budget.
want to do budget adjustments?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go down to budget adjustments. Go ahead, staff.
Okay, so this is fiscal year 25-26. There are 3 items that we did not present resolutions to council, and I'm going to walk you through each one of these. One is the entrance expansion into North Park. We just didn't present a resolution, but that work has been completed. We're going to ask for a resolution. The resolution that we'll be presenting is in the packet. The resolution will not be presented today for vote, but at the next council meeting. So I think we all know that extension, what took place there. We widened the North Park entrance. It was at a cost of $26,500. The work was done in-house. Very appreciative of Public Works and Dave and his work. That saved us a lot of money on that. The second item is the larger item, and that was the technology upgrades to the network. It's $1.2 million. Whenever I came to the city, we knew that the network was antiquated and we needed some work done on the infrastructure of the network. Council has been in conversation about that all along. Now that we've got a better handle on what work needed to be done and the work that is completed, we're asking for a budget adjustment at $1.2 million. So we're going to go into some more detail concerning the infrastructure and the network, but for security reasons, we don't want to expose some of that. So we'll go into closed session with our IT manager and explain what that was for. But that's a $1.2 million budget adjustment. The other was a transfer for the substation located at North Park. That's what you all just talked about with the loan. This is a $1.6 million item that was budgeted in fiscal year 23 and 24, also in 24 and 25. It was not budgeted in 25-26. So this calls for a budget adjustment so that therefore our audit will be clean, that how that money was spent and where it was allocated from. So
It
those
took a
are-
couple of years for that
Yep.
to arrive.
It took, I think was it 4 years for us to
From
order?
order
that?
to
Okay.
receipt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it is here, the substation, or what, it's the transformer, right? It's not a.
Transfer's gonna be a long way.
Yeah, it's already here, it's on the ground, so we're ready to go. So those are the three budget adjustments that we'll be bringing to the July council meeting. Any questions concerning that?
So we budgeted in the previous 2 years, didn't spend the money, so now we're adjusting here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay?
All right,
Right.
anything else on this one?
I don't unless there's questions.
Commissioners, anything? Okay, let's tee that up for the next city council meeting. Resolution.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I did jump you on the ADA stuff.
I know you did, I'm a little bitter about that.
Yeah, so that's my fault. So let the record show that I jumped that item. So we need to go back to it.
Make sure it's a stern reprimand in the notes. Okay, let's go to ADA website, staff.
Mike?
Yeah, so there are consistent web content accessibility guidelines. Those are mandated by the federal government and sometimes the state. A couple years ago, we revamped our website. We went with a new vendor to try and stay in line with these ever-changing guidelines. Immediately afterwards, new guidelines were set forth. So the 2.2, we have a deadline to reach those mandates by 2028. Mr. Wisman and Mr. Humbry from the IT department sat in with me on a review with our current website provider. They offer a program called AudioEye that does provide all the necessary accessibility tools for our website. This is people who are visually impaired, or they can change colorblind settings if our color scheme doesn't work for their abilities. Mr. Airy, would you bring up the...
I may let you drive this, Mike. Is that one of them?
This is one of them.
Well, okay, this is an unfunded federal mandate. I've had a lot of those in my life. They're no fun, so.
Yes, sir.
And it looks like we had 2.1 and they adjusted to 2.2, and we have already started that. The Civic Plus was a big step in the right direction, correct?
Right. We are currently meeting mandates. In 2028 is the deadline that the new standards will be implemented.
All right. Okay, go ahead, start interrupting.
This has become a fairly standard practice. I was hoping
Let me see.
on many municipal and other public websites, you'll see a little emblem in the corner that's a little blue man. That is the accessibility emblem that allows people to adjust different settings on the website to meet their needs for readability. That's essentially what we'd be purchasing through AudioEye with Civic. We would be receiving a discount on the product because we maintain a pretty good relationship in the Civic Suite. We have our website, our cell phone communication, mass communication system. We do social media archiving. We have a clerk program. We are currently working to build a civic recreation program that will allow the online booking of venues throughout the community. So they work really well with us. Everything online, we have a pretty cohesive look and function.
So we do this, we meet the federal mandate and give the public more accessibility to information in the city.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Now, there's one additional one. There's doc access as well as audio live. These are two separate programs, two separate charges. I did a self-audit of our website. Come 2028, one area that we will fall short if we don't make changes is going to be that some of our historic records appear not as PDFs, which are readable, but as images, like a JPEG, which are not readable. This doc access program will take anything like that and read it for anybody who's visually
So we can
impaired.
recycle stuff before 2024, is that correct? Or is it gonna, is it fix a problem, a pre-existing problem, or from now on, the problem is fixed?
So the problem, any documents predating 2024 would appear as that JPEG image. Currently, those are unreadable. This is a tool that will be available on the website to read those documents for
Okay.
users.
Thank you.
Not only does it do that, but it can also translate into several hundred different languages, which we currently are unable to do, which is an added bonus.
That's very
And the
nice.
demonstration for this tool, it went back, one city had very old records that were handwritten roll calls, and this program can read the handwriting and make that readable, which for me is very exciting because we do a lot of graphic images for community events and everything. This program will be utilized there for anybody who's visually impaired, so any graphic images we put up to try and catch people's attention, that will be fully accessible to them as well. So that's why we have a proposal that's requesting purchase of two separate programs through our website to meet these accessibility guidelines.
All right, we have to do it. How much is it? I just don't remember off the top of my head.
8,100.
8,100? Did I get those
First-
zeros right?
First year, and 8,200. Second year, 5% escalator. You bet.
All right.
1 year contract.
So this is something we'll have to renew every year?
Yes, sir.
It's typical maintenance agreement on software.
As with our website and our
Yeah.
social media archive.
Yeah, it's all
media does
coming
it.
back. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sounds like yeah, go ahead. It's gonna improve things and it's something we have to do anyway. I mean, and if it's a bad contract, we can change it next year.
We're in compliance now, correct?
To
Right.
that first standard, the 2.1. Yeah.
We will fall out of compliance when the new standards become mandatory in 2028.
Right.
My recommendation would be to achieve the highest standard of accessibility that we can, so move forward immediately with this.
Because we do use a lot of social media, right?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of the archive data that's not in a suitable format.
Okay.
So it's all scanned documents. That's
We're
what
very fortunate to have Mike. There's a lot of municipalities that are way behind on this 8 ball. So we're ahead of the game, so I'm appreciative of what he's done so far.
And I will add very quickly, more and more communities are beginning to tackle this. I have looked, I have not found any grant opportunities currently for implementation of this, but I will keep my eye on that. I think as more communities, especially smaller communities, start struggling to achieve these goals, some of that funding might be available and may possibly be retroactive to cover some of these costs.
Yeah, I would focus on
Good.
just getting it complete rather than look for grant money. I'd rather just be compliant by because it's not, I mean, 8,000 is a lot of dollars, but that's more important. Okay, so
Thank you,
this will
Mike.
be a resolution, is that what they asked you?
Since it's a contract, I may do an ordinance, but I'll have it at the next meeting.
Yeah, is there any reason
Thank
we
you,
can't
sir.
do a first and second on this?
That's up to council.
You all have any objections on a first and second reading at the next city council meeting?
I just worry about setting too much of a precedent.
We're not in a hurry to get
Yeah,
it
there's
done
no-
in a double reading, so we could do it. We could.
Okay, so
We
we
can do
don't have any,
Yeah.
there's no pressure on getting a contract?
That's correct.
Not
Yeah.
1 month. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with the interest rates on the other one, that's why we were thinking double reading. So,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree. Okay, let's do first reading next city council meeting.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, well done, good staff work.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move to the Gateway Sign Project, staff comments.
Yeah, this is just a discussion. This topic has actually been one in Monett for a long time with council, former councils, concerning a gateway sign that would welcome people to the city of Monett. So there's a difference between a gateway sign, directional signs for a city, and entry signs for a city. We have entry signs, we have directional signs, we do not have a gateway sign. So what I'm recommending, staff is recommending, is the formation of a gateway sign committee. This would be appointed by the mayor and approved by the council. This would be representatives of the community. Non-residents of Monett could serve on this committee because there are those that live outside of Monett that have an interest in Monett. And so I think this is a committee that there would be no restrictions, in my opinion, for residency. The committee would be 12 to 14 members, a larger committee so that we're getting input from a broad variety of the community. And then co-chairs, just so that whenever you have co-chairs, you normally have more consistency and continuity in your meetings. If one can't show, then the other can lead the meeting. So that will be in the recommendation to council. The scope of work for this committee would be to commission the design of the sign, this gateway sign. And I'll show you some examples here in a minute, but the best example of a gateway sign, probably in our area because it's very new, is the one in Republic. When you're coming down 60 Highway, the one that is right there, and I don't know what that crossroad is there, but
M, just before,
M.
it's just east of M and MM.
yeah, that's the best example, I think, for our region.
Aurora just installed one, it's a small one.
That's true, yes, that's right. So again, the scope of work would just be commissioning the design of this. We want to make sure that we incorporate the new city logos that we've worked so hard and the new branding. This would provide opportunity, they would provide opportunity for community input either through town halls or just open houses or whatever it may be. They would work on the raising the funds for the public-private sources of this endeavor. And then they would provide oversight from the project from conception to construction. They're not doing the construction inspections, that would be contracted out, but just to make sure it's falling in line, the timeline. And then plan the celebration for the gateway sign. Here's what staff is recommending as a potential timeline for this project. The formation of the committee by August of 2026, RFQs for a design architect. State statute calls for RFQs for architects as opposed to RFPs. So we would just send out for qualifications and determine qualifications for an architect. And then selection of designs. So architect would give us some design options. And again, just like any project, we would put in our input and here's what we'd like to see, and you've got to incorporate the logos and all that, and then they would design something. By November, the top 3 designs would be selected. Those 3 designs would be revealed at the State of the City in 2027 in January. We'd do a committee or a community open house in February so that again the community could vote on or express their opinions about those top 3 selections. And then the committee would actually select the final based on all that input. And then the fundraising for the project would begin. So,
Is there a component in that plan to allow people to partner with us to reduce the cost?
yes, it would be a public-private project. So if there's any private corporations that would like to contribute, if there's grant funding that's available for something like this, we would pursue it. So that's why it's going to take a while to raise the funding for it.
And, yeah, okay, you got it there, Chamber of Commerce. Mark?
Yeah, the entry signs into the city, right now, we'd like to rebrand those. We'd like to work with the Chamber of Commerce because they oversee those signs. Those signs cannot be moved because all of them sit in, I think all of them except one sit in MoDOT right-of-ways. MoDOT won't let you move it an inch one way or the other, or you'll have to tear it down. So what we would do is try and work with those. These are the 3 that I'm aware of, entry signs into the city of Monett. One is at the hospital as you come from the east to the west, right there on the, I believe this one's on hospital property. It is? Okay. And these, Dave, you may know, maybe this one's not on MoDOT right away either. I don't know. This one's at North Park.
I believe this one is.
I think it is.
Okay. But this one's at North Park. And then the last one that I'm aware of is on 37. As you're coming from the south to the north, it's on the right-hand side of the road, and I'm pretty sure this is in MoDOT right away. It would appear to me.
So
So
we actually had to adjust that one.
don't tell MoDOT. Yeah. So those are examples of entry signs. This to me would be, we would wait for the gateway sign to be designed, then we would do the entry signs to reflect what is on the gateway sign. I'm not that familiar with the comp plan, but a lot of times comp plans will include gateway, not the design of it, but the encouragement to do a gateway signage. And I don't know.
There is it
Okay.
is part of the capital improvement plan within the draft.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you for that, Doug. So this is the location that we would recommend. It's at Highway 60 and Highway 37. And that rectangle, I believe, is sitting on either the parking lot or the actual site of the old clubhouse. So, but we would place it right there.
It's just beyond the MoDOT easement,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yep. This is, and this is taken off GIS, so it may vary a little bit, but that shows you where the MoDOT easements are, and then our property lines. So
Okay.
if
So-
we
so
come
we're
back,
okay.
if you come back, if you look at that rectangle, it's off of the,
Yeah.
it's off of those right-of-ways, which is helpful, because that way we don't have to get permission from MoDOT or permitting. And it's our property and our sign and maintenance purposes. So I put in the packet some examples of signs. This one is one that's, it looks pretty rustic, but it's actually concrete. So this is one
I think
in,
West Plains is similar to that in concrete. It's like a wall.
I've only seen it one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bartlesville, they use different materials. A lot, those aren't true stones. Those are, the boss. These are, Tulsa does a variety. They do a welcome monument at certain secondary roads, and then at their main interstate coming into town, they use the gateway triangle, because it's obviously a little larger. You can see the scale there of these signs. This is a sign, again, these are just examples, but they used wood and plastics and stone and did a little variety. We have a lot of industry in town that does either plasma cutting or does precision cutting of metals. So this could be an idea that we could partner with a local industry that could do the metal cutting for us. Again, these are not cut, but they're larger size. Any questions about the gateway sign?
So we're looking at 3.
No, we're looking at one.
We're gonna have one gateway
One
sign
big
and
one.
then
And then we'll
entry signs.
update the entry signs. I did meet with the Monett Main Street on Tuesday night. The directional signs, and I don't have any examples of them in here, but the directional signs are the ones that say repurpose fair, downtown shopping. There's 3 or 4 of those, and I'm gonna get a bid to take back to Monett Main Street to look at removing the repurpose fair and adding the pavilion, Freedom Park, the splash pad, because those are all attractions that draw people downtown. The repurpose fair actually is dated in the sense that it says the fourth Saturday
In
or third
August.
Saturday of August.
Yeah.
And so you normally don't put dates on directional signs. You want to keep it pretty generic.
Right.
So we're
I
working
ta-
with Monett.
I talked to them a couple of years ago about potentially adding some, like on 37 northbound, right on our park property, right over there, to indicate shopping and restaurants, lodging, things like that. There's no directional sign for that type of.
And that came out of the First Impressions tour
Good.
that we did. Two things, or a couple things. One was the First Impression tour felt like we needed some kind of gateway sign. The other was that they swore up and down there was no entry signs into Monett. And I said, yeah, there are. No, they're not. Well, then I showed them, yes, there are.
They've just drove by them
said, "We
too
just
often."
drove-" Yeah, yeah. We've got one gentleman that's lived here a long time, and he said, no, there's not. And he lives in Purdy, and he comes up every day, and, you know, so I just show him, yes, there is.
Sign blind.
Yeah, and then the third was the directional signs, the lack of, yeah. Yep. So that's all I have. That'll be presented to council, and the next presentation will,
Do you do sculptures? So this will be a resolution?
this will be a resolution that we put together the
To
committee.
form committee. right?
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
forming the committee.
All right, let's go on to the next item, American Legion flagpole.
Yes, really began some very good, or started good conversations with the VFW and the American Legion over the Freedom Park contributions. Of course, the VFW is going to contribute to the purchase of the monument that's going to mark Freedom Park. Whenever I began to talk to the American Legion, their contribution, they were hoping, was to put a flagpole next to the monument that would be purchased by the American Legion. After they gathered together as a group, they came back to me and they asked me if it would be possible to take the current American Legion flag in front of the American Legion Hall on Broadway and use that flagpole down at Freedom Park, because this flagpole was installed in 1948. So that's a picture of it. Here's another picture of it. And then I asked Dave Dunn if he would go out and take a look at it. And Dave, can you kind of fill us in on
It's in good shape. Completely doable. You know what I mean?
So I think it would be, historically, it would be a real contribution. The American Legion desires to be a part of, not only were they part of the celebration of Freedom Park, they want to support Freedom Park. So this would be their contribution. So really, it would just be a resolution for us to say, yes, we're going to remove this. We want to make sure, I've been told it's on city property, but I want to make sure it's on city property. I don't want to steal somebody's flagpole. So, but we would get all that work done.
Would all the American Legion stuff be removed, like the sign on the building and the drop boxes?
No,
also?
that's private property now.
American,
So they can leave it up if they want, if the new
Yeah,
owners want to.
yeah, they sold it that way.
That building was sold.
Mhm.
Yeah.
where does the
does this-
American Legion meet now?
VFW.
VFW,
So, okay.
one day a
gotcha.
month.
Does this set a precedence of what the other flagpoles, or how they're gonna be installed? Because this is obviously a base installation and not one that's, I'll say, submerged,
Yes.
subterranean.
Good question. So what we would like to do, any other flagpoles moving forward, Dave has a standard
Okay.
for those flagpoles. And we really wanted to keep that standard for this, but I think historically,
Sure.
backstory here makes sense. So this deserves a variance as opposed to what we're doing.
Not a
moving forward.
precedence. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
but I think parks, any other buildings, city buildings, when we install a flagpole, we want to use the standards that Dave has put in place.
And I'm assuming they're okay with a refurbishing of, right?
Yes.
Are we like sandblasted or just
I don't know if we need to sandblast
Treat
it,
the
but
rust.
I did, Mickey probably didn't see the email I just sent it this morning. I'd like to, be able to paint it black, like this one. It's out in front of the, we painted this one last time that we had a lift around. I think black holds up better. I
Yeah.
know historically, they've always been painted bright silver, but they show the whip lines and stuff on the poles fairly quickly. Black doesn't seem to do that. I mean, it's not that big of a deal if they, for history, wanted the same, we could
Right.
do that too.
I think they'll, I mean, I'll talk to them, but
Yeah, yeah.
we'll get an agreement with
I
them.
mean, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, whatever. But it's in really good shape. I just checked it out yesterday. So.
Good.
And we've moved a bunch of other ones before, you know what I mean?
Same
So-
kind of mounting.
Yeah, you know, the fire stations, I was at the old police department, and it got repurposed.
Okay.
The one from the old golf course deal, it's got moved to South Park. It's doable, it's in good shape,
Yeah, good.
so. I like the history part of it too, I think it's kinda neat.
Yeah, that's why we can make the exception for historical
We're gonna
purposes.
make
with
it
the
till the
basin, you know, it makes sense to
dedication,
me.
October dedication of the monument for that. will
I'm
be in
hoping
place.
so. That'll be up to Dave and his.
All right, so it will be a resolution at the next city council.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, let's move on to vacant building registry. Doug, come on up.
All right, so let me give you kind of a 50,000-foot overview of what we're talking about here. Shortly after I started, even before that, there had been discussions about ways that we can mitigate vacant buildings in Monett, the large number of vacant structures that are, quite frankly, they're not good for the curb appeal of the city. One of the things that the city did was, with the help of Monett Main Street, engage with Keith Winge with Missouri Main Street. And on a call that we were on that together, Mickey, with Alyssa Vaughn and several others, one of the things that they recommended was a vacant building registry.
Well, this is also about public safety. There's a big
Abs-
public safety component to this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I know that Chief Dowd is here, but we've talked, both the fire and police departments think this is very useful for life saving to know whether it's a vacant building or not.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, to your point, for sure. After doing some research on my own, I discovered there's a large number of cities in Missouri that already have vacant building registries, so there is a precedent there. And then I looked for a model for one that I think would fit with Monett, with the kind of community that Monett is, and the one that stuck out to me was Springfield's. So what you have before you is an ordinance adopting a vacant building registry in the city of Monett. This is based on, as I said, Springfield's vacant building registry. This has been being discussed at the Planning and Zoning Commission for the last few months, with several modifications, things that have been done to, I would say, make it a little bit less draconian than Springfield's. Springfield's has penalties of multiple thousands of dollars, an implementation structure of 60 to 90 days. Ours is far slower. We would be, from the time of the implementation of this ordinance to the time that it would go into effect, is 365 days. Then there would be another 365 days for vacant building owners to register their property. The plan of action that they would need to put into effect with the City Community Development Department would be several months, and then also the fees involved are much lower, $150 instead of thousands of dollars in the case of Springfield. In total, what I'm trying to express is that our vacant building registry would be a lot less onerous for the vacant building owners. Makes it a little bit easier, makes compliance a little bit easier for them to digest. The other thing I'd like to make sure is known is that this is not just vacant buildings. The vacancy has to be vacancy combined with some other factor, some other code enforcement violation. So it's not just that the building is vacant, it's that it's vacant with overgrown weeds, it's vacant with accumulation, it's vacant with busted out windows. It has to be vacant with some other kind of aspect that is in violation of our code. That is a key factor in making sure that we're not just penalizing property that is vacant but in otherwise extremely good condition. It doesn't include things like properties which are currently up for sale, properties which are going through the probate process, properties which are being used as a second home by people, Airbnbs, things like that. So there's a number of exclusionary items that are built into the ordinance to make sure that those things which are vacant but are otherwise okay are not being penalized. But the whole purpose behind this, as I mentioned, is that there's some of the things that we're doing in town, like Chapter 353, like TIF, that are to provide incentives for blight remediation. This is kind of more along the lines of a stick. This is kind of nudging people to take something that's vacant and that's in violation of our codes and to do something with it to move it to a higher and better use. And to your point, Randy, absolutely, there is a public safety aspect with this as well. There are numerous vacant buildings inside Monett that are being used by squatters. There are vagrants that are occupying those structures, and to actually have a database that we can cross-reference with other informational items that we have in our department.
It also gives provisions, so if it becomes vacant, we can take action to prevent squatters.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yes. But specifically, there is a strong health, safety, and welfare public welfare aspect tied to this with our first responders, our fire department, the ambulance district, and the PD. And I'm happy to answer any further questions if you have any.
Terms and fees, are you going to determine those line item, kind of like point them out, how long you're going to have before you have to respond, the fee if you don't respond, and continue?
Absolutely, it's actually,
so all that still has to be lined
in
out.
the ordinance. It's actually in the ordinance, it's spelled out. And once again, as I mentioned, the fees and the timing structure are a lot less onerous than Springfield. Springfield, you're talking about their registration fee just to register a vacant building is $500. Ours is $150.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's right there in the ordinance there. So just to give you an
Understood. The fee structure, how was it determined? What did you do if you change it from a model from Springfield's to ours? Lowered it because of population?
Population as well as so there is something called the LMI, the low to moderate income multiplier, that economists like myself use. Based upon that LMI, effectively I reduced that rate based on Monett's LMI compared to Springfield's. Folks in Springfield, generally they can pay a little bit more.
Remember, this city's never done anything like this before, so we have to do a slow roll on this. We just don't want, boom, here it is.
Perfect.
So the fees are reduced, and the rollout's pretty, before we start writing tickets and charging is 2 years from the passage of this.
Understood.
So slow roll, not to see how we do it. And most people are going to be asking, well, what's the definition of a vacant property?
Of course.
Now, he gave you a bunch of examples here. It's not just that it's vacant, it has to be vacant, and there has to be some other issue with it.
Understood.
Okay? So I think it is a very less draconian way. In the planning and zoning, we looked at this from Springfield, like, whoa, I don't think we're ready for this in Monett. So that's why it's been adjusted based on discussion at the planning and zoning. So.
Yes, I have a few. Does this affect our ISO rating any by having the registry?
I don't know about that. I'd have to check, but I can tell you it certainly wouldn't hurt it.
Sure.
More information is never a
That
bad
would be an
thing.
assumption, yeah. In section B4, it looks like property owners have to self-report.
Yes.
Self-apply. What if they don't?
If they don't, then the penalty structure that is existing inside of this ordinance would come into effect.
Okay.
So there is, let me see if I can't find it for you, Ken.
That's the section that talks about, so that's B. That's the section that talks about applying and the fees associated and such.
Yes. The idea is that we want everybody to voluntarily participate in this system. If they do not participate in the system, then that's when the penalties and fees would come into effect. The most important thing with this legislation, the real issue, the real thing that we're trying to get to is what's called the plan of action. That is effectively by registering, it's not enough that they register their building with the vacant building registry in my department. It's that once they're on that list, they need to work with my department, the building inspector and myself, to come up with a plan of action to mitigate that secondary factor that we were talking about, the vacancy plus something else, to bring that property to a higher and better use. That's the real, what I would call the teeth for me, is that it gets those owners to actually work with the city to mitigate the problem, to come up with that plan of action.
So to avoid the appearance of, I'll use the phrase, governmental overreach, a property owner has to self-report. They have to pay $150 to self-report. And for that $150, they receive an inspection and a plan, right?
They receive an inspection and they work with us on a plan.
Okay. And forgive me for not being as aware of all the details in here, but is there a time period within this legislation that says that you, property owner, who is on this registry, must do X improvements to the, is that bringing it up to current code? Because what I'm getting at is people are gonna say, it's gonna be way too cost prohibitive to do anything to this building, I'm just gonna tear it down. And now we have a bunch of vacant lots.
The answer to that would be, it doesn't go into effect until 365 days until after the legislation, 365 days after the legislation is passed. There's another 365-day period for them to register. After that period is over, it's 90 days. So they would have 90 days to work with us on a plan of action. To your point, we want to, there isn't actually anything in the provision, just like in Springfield's provision, which specifically states the X needs to happen. That's part of the plan of action.
Okay.
It's not actually stated within the legislation.
Okay.
But to your point, one of the things that may be a mitigation of that aspect is for some of these structures to be torn down.
Yeah.
And
To
the
answer your question.
follow-up to that is the ordinances that you all have passed to make it easier to build back on that property.
Sure, yeah.
Because you're not as restricted. So it may be that the current owner says, yes, it's easier to tear it down, I don't want to fix this thing up. They may either sell it, somebody demos it, or they may demo it, sell
Yeah.
that piece of property. But if we're making movement.
I see the intent of this,
Yeah.
and I don't
Yeah.
discount the intent whatsoever. I'm looking for ways to incentivize versus penalize,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
Another thing that is, and it was mentioned in the staff report, is that this is very much, there's, instead of shall, there's a lot of may in here.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Ultimately, the final discretion of what is vacancy fundamentally is a subjective discretion that is held within the power of the building inspector and myself.
Okay.
What that allows is, obviously, people get freaked out a little bit by subjectivity, but it also provides a lot of wiggle room in those, what I would call edge cases, where, let's be frank, there may be one or two which they are not otherwise covered in the legislation, and therefore it would fall to executive leadership to basically make a determination of, what, in this particular case, it doesn't rise to the level or otherwise. But because the nature of vacancy, the nature of what I would call dilapidation is so wide and broad, there's really actually no way to write legislation that actually covers all unforeseen
I get it.
circumstances.
And I noticed in the verbiage under evidence of vacancy, that it does talk about the reasonable person, right? It's the reasonableness test. Where I'm one of those people who, when I see subjectivity, it gives me concern, because now I'm thinking 5, 10 years, 15 years down the road, we don't know who's in those decision-making seats, and is there going to be some type of, say, less than ethical decisions that are made for one person and not another, meaning favoritism type of scenario.
Well, I think we have to
So,
assume they're gonna be an ethical person.
Well, of course, you should always assume that,
Yeah,
but
they need to follow.
it's
the
not,
rules.
that may not be reality, right? So I know you can't legislate everybody.
Yeah, and I think, Ken, to your point of what are we doing to incentivize the downtown district, we incentivize through chapter 353.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
this is now the next step, and the goal is to clean up the city.
I think every
Public safety.
I read this, the only area of the city that comes into mind is Broadway.
But this is gonna
This
cover
is-
the
this
entire.
is-
No,
will be the whole
I get
city.
it, I get it. But what I'm saying is, you don't see that level of blight around the city. There's gonna be individual pieces of property that might
That is
fall
correct.
in this, but I think anybody reading this would just gravitate towards downtown.
But
right?
some of the properties that have set, not in downtown, but are sitting in other areas of the town, they've sat there empty for years.
Oh, yeah, I believe it, yeah.
And they do become a public safety
Yes.
issue.
To another point, one of the reasons why there was such a long lead time that was done instead of Springfield's is because of the nature, the ownership of many of the properties is so vague and opaque in Monett that it will probably take that long to even find these people, to actually get in communication and even touch with them in
That's a
many
good
cases.
point.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why it's effectively 2 years.
So is this still being discussed at the P and Z level, or is it done at P and Z and it's ready for us?
It is done at P and Z. Planning and Zoning recommended this legislation to the City Council for approval last
Okay.
week.
So we will have the first reading next month?
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay.
One thing I did want to mention, and I mentioned this at P and Z, this ordinance may still have some modifications to it. Specifically, as I mentioned earlier, the changing of several words from shall to may.
Okay.
So there may still be edits to this, but they will be legislative and legal in nature. Specifically, to your point, Ken, of not locking us into actions that we may otherwise regret, giving that power to discern what falls into either category.
And as you know, between the first reading and the second reading, you can make recommendations.
Yep.
And like to see this cleaned up, like to see that changed.
Okay.
All right, anything else on this item? Commissioners, anything else?
Thank you, Doug.
Yes, thank you, Doug.
All right, let's go to rezoning a part of the Monett Veterinary Hospital's land.
Sure. This is very simple. This is the Monett Veterinary Hospital came in. They are currently zoned C, but their lot, effectively their parking lot property that they own right next door is not zoned commercial, and they are interested in making improvements to that parking lot. So they are seeking a rezoning from B to C. The property is within the existing comprehensive plan. It is already possible for future land use to rezone at C. It is contiguous with other C commercial zoned property. There's precedent, obviously, with the rezoning of the actual veterinary clinic itself. It is the recommendation of the Community Development Department and the Planning and Zoning Commission that this rezoning application be approved.
This is one of those where we had a problem in the past, a little bit of spot zoning, so it cleans that up and it conforms to what currently is there.
Absolutely.
It does,
All right.
And there's precedent both on both sides of it.
Yeah, that's neighboring.
Okay, would there be any issue to do a first and second reading on this one at the next city council?
Is there any contention with their neighbors or anything?
No,
Okay.
there's been no public comments or response to my office
All right,
regarding.
I'm open to do first and second, if you all think that is, I mean, in this case, it seems like small, we're
It is.
conforming. And what it does, is it allows the process to move on for both the city and the landowner.
Agreed.
I'm just curious, what improvements are they trying to make? Just,
My understanding is they're looking to both fix as well as expand the parking lot.
Okay.
On the map, you'll see that the parking lot is actually it takes
It's
a
small.
percentage of
It's
the
very
lot
small.
size.
Yeah.
But it's still something that they couldn't do without this reason.
okay, all right, just curious.
Yeah, they've
Again, I'm
expanded
a-
that, sorry.
No, you finish, sorry.
Yeah, they've expanded their business to the east, now they need to put a new parking lot to the
Okay,
west. That's-
okay.
They used to go there.
Again, I'm gonna slightly object to the double readings. I hate setting a precedent here. I know these people personally, and this is not something that I think that they would appreciate hearing me say is that, you know, to push it out another month. I know the reason why they're going through this rezoning process. They need to erect a sign on their property. But, you know, I think we're making a decision, a precedent that, you know, by law, we're supposed to have a second reading, so public comment, unless that public comment period is satisfied in the P and Z, then I can have a different opinion.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
wasn't
If you want to do a first reading and then a second reading the following
I'm
month,
asking.
and that
This is a work-
if there's no issue, I have no objections to that.
I know things could perceive to be a slam dunk, I get it, but if.
There's a process.
There is a process, and we've moved away from a loose process in the past and tried to tighten it up, and now it sounds like we're trying to loosen it back up. That just.
And I disagree with that.
I'm just stating my opinion, so.
Yep, I'm stating that.
If it's decided to do a double reading, then it's decided to do a double reading.
Well, it doesn't sound like there's any time-sensitive thing to this. And what I think is that norm with planning and zoning, where the scope is small, just small, simple things, we can get through the process very quickly with the first and second reading. Now, if you want to do something big, you know, housing development, we have to do a first and second reading. And so that's the opinion. But if we want to go for first reading, and that's why I asked for opinions on this one. So your opinion, I think, is that you want to do 2 readings. Is that correct?
No, my opinion is that we have a process that we just stick to the process, but, so.
Okay. What do you think?
It's fine. It is, as you mentioned, a slam dunk. This one is an easy one.
It is.
As an erection of a sign.
It is.
Property owners would make a decision if they wanted to see it move forward, or is that something we just don't want to do as a council, to ask them those questions and just perceive this to be simply modified at the next meeting? Follow me?
I think this is cleaning up. We've done this before,
Yeah.
so I think we can do
That's
it
fine.
again.
That's the decision of this council, and that's fine.
And
I'll
this-
abide them.
and
I'm
this
good
is
with
the
it.
only
I think
zone
they'll be
B.
happy. I'm not trying to make them or anybody unhappy.
And this is the only zone B on that whole block.
Yeah,
You know,
it fixes a problem that's already been
Yeah.
there. So let's make a first and second reading on the next city council meeting. Okay, we're down to council comments. Commissioner, go ahead.
I have nothing.
Okay, moving on. Next regular city council meeting will be 9 July 2026 at 6 PM at the Monett City Annex. And then our next work session will be July 23rd, 9:30, right here. Okay, do I have any motions to go into closed session?
Our closed session attendees today. Oh,
Sit-
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, may I use this?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Okay, everyone, thank you all for coming. We're gonna move into closed session. The council will convene in a closed session pursuant to section 610.021 Missouri State Statute subsections 1, 2, 3, and 22 to discuss legal matters, real estate, personal matters, and software configurations on network security. Please, in attendance, remain city clerk, city admin, HR director, our IT manager, and our community development director.
Thank you.
Do I have a second? There it
Call
is.
a roll?
Mayor Randy Burke,
Yes.
Commissioner Ken Gaspar,
Aye.
Commissioner Darren DeVito.
Aye.
Okay, we'll convene in closed session at our, what do we call that, the crucible?
I call it closed session.
Okay, all right.